Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to all our listeners. If it's your first time listening, a warm welcome to this episode of FitNation's Lunch and Learn. Today's show is all about making sure you don't get sued. Kind of important. And to make sure that you don't get sued, as well as understanding why the fitness law landscape is so important and also what risks you may expose yourself to by not having a specialist, we've invited an award-winning legal authority onto the show to shed some light on this topic, and luckily in a quite an engaging way. So we're lucky enough to be joined by Cory Sterling of the Conscious Counsel. Now, they're a Canadian-based legal team who specializes in the health and wellness sector. But as we'll discuss later, it's not just for Canadians only. And their team provides legal counsel for creative, ambitious, and heart-leading business owners who are focused on building communities and want to make the world a better and healthier place through their health and wellness businesses. So these are the kinds of people that you want on your side. It's not just about protection from lawsuits. It's also about understanding how to avoid tricky situations and really just setting yourself up for success. If you're a business owner, you can't not afford to listen to this episode. And in addition to this, listeners of this show will also get a gift from Conscious Counsel. I'll leave it to Cory to walk us through that a little bit later. But without further ado, Cory, thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. I love lunch and learn, but I am unprepared. I don't have my lunch in front of me. So for most of the time that I'll be speaking, I'll probably be thinking about what I could be eating.
All right. Hopefully though, our listeners are ready to learn so they can be doing that part as well.
Yeah. And I would just encourage everyone, if you're listening, just like maybe even hit pause, get a snack, something delicious, something you love, and you're going to be learning about law in a super fun way, but also having a tasty snack. And I couldn't think of any better way to spend my time.
That's the dream, huh?
That is.
Awesome. Well, hey, Cory, always a good starting point for these kind of shows. Maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit about your background, what you do, and how you came to work specifically in this sector.
Yeah, nice to meet everyone. My name's Cory. I'm a lawyer, and I started my own law firm 4 years ago, and we specifically work with health and wellness professionals. I came to that point after a brief career working in big law, i.e. wearing a suit and staring at a computer screen in a big building for a lot of hours a day, and just working with clients who didn't inspire me, weren't really enjoying working with lawyers and people I was completely disconnected from. Before I got into law, I worked in professional sports. So I worked in the NFL for a couple of years. And then I just basically traveled and was always finding a way to incorporate sports and travel into my life. That's really who I am in a nutshell. And then there came a point where I was starting my own law firm because I thought that the legal experience could be better for clients and it could be more fun for me as a lawyer as well. And I just naturally was connecting with gym owners, personal trainers, yoga teachers, spin instructors, whoever it was, someone was doing something healthy and building a community around their own unique offering. And none of them understood anything about the law and were operating at serious risk. And I actually went through situations of having to help friends as well who were getting into trouble. And, when you start a business, you work very hard for years to build the brand value, to build assets, to build a team. And it's crazy how people can just be at risk and possibly lose all of that in an accidental moment if you're not properly prepared. So since then, I sort of went on a crusade to try to educate health and wellness fitness professionals as best as possible by getting them to best legal practices and talking about the important issues. And what's happened has been really cool. We've got clients all over the world, more than 15 countries, I think almost every province and state in the United States and in North America. And and we're just having fun along the way, sharing this information and giving people practical information they can apply to their businesses.
Excellent. And a quick follow-up question, not to be too off topic, but what was the NFL team you worked for?
I worked for the Oakland Raiders, who are now the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah. And I was a writer for their website. So for 2 years, it's funny because I loved sports growing up. I still love sports. And I got to this point where my job was literally to sit in an office and watch ESPN and the NFL network, and then go to practices and interview players and write stories and travel on the team plane and go to stadiums and be on the field. And it's cool how just at a point I just thought, really, is this all that life is about? Which was a wonderful, early existential crisis to have. And that sort of brought me on a path of wanting to make a bigger impact.
Excellent. Well, originally being from Denver and a Denver Broncos fan, we'll make sure to keep this civil. Hopefully we have more Raiders fans listening than Bronco fans today. But that's a pretty cool background and an interesting fun fact about yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. And so tell us a little bit more about Conscious Counsel. You mentioned already that you have clients all over the world, but maybe give people a little bit more background into the mission statement that you guys have.
Yeah, the mission statement is to transform the way that legal services are provided for health and wellness professionals. And again, that just comes from my experience of working in law before. The big problems I saw was that clients would be paying thousands of dollars for legal documents. They wouldn't understand anything. It's written in legalese, a language that is completely unrelatable unless you've had the privilege of a legal education. And that also, in a practical sense, people didn't know what they should be doing or what legal issues pertain specifically to their business and their industry. And so a cool thing about my journey in continuing to build Conscious Counsel is that every day I'm just on calls with different fitness professionals, and they're telling me their story and what they're going through and what their issues are, and where they lack confidence and where they're feeling vulnerable and how they want to grow, but they don't have the structure. And for me, I have a very unique perspective because I just continuously see everyone's talking about the same problems, but all of these individuals are in a silo because they're not having legal conversations with other business owners to the point where they can realize that the things that need to be fixed or the issues that they need to be aware of are really quite simple and can be taken care of easily. So yeah, so a lot of what we do is we educate our clients, we support our clients, and then we also give them legal documents that are written in plain English that they can understand and that are industry specific.
Excellent. All right. Now, kind of to set the scene for us, some of the topics we're going to focus on today are like the fitness law landscape, why specialists are so crucial, and then also what you risk by not having a specialist on your side. But maybe to set the scene a little bit, like maybe walk us through a high level of what navigating the legal process might look like for a new business, or maybe an existing business who needs to kind of double down on this a little bit and say either with or without Conscious Counsel.
Yeah, it's most important that someone's working with someone who they like working with and they feel a good connection with. So in the most basic sense, how we coach our clients is thinking about law simply as a series of relationships. So if you take a piece of paper and you draw your business name in the middle, and then you draw a line that connects you to all the different relationships you have, in a very practical and applicable sense, just think, okay, well, what are the expectations I need to communicate in that particular relationship? So with your clients, you obviously are going to have some form of service or client agreement, setting the expectations. The waiver of liability obviously prevents you from getting sued. So that's an important document. If you're renting a physical space and you have a landlord, that would be a relationship that you have. If you have a team and other staff who are working under you, either as contractors or employees, that's another relationship that you have. So I think the starting point for everyone, and obviously it costs $0 to do, is have a look at the different legal relationships that your business is involved in and think, okay, what are the most important things for me to communicate in this particular relationship? And how can I go about doing that? And when it comes to the law, each relationship has its own legal nuances, that's a little bit more complex. But a great starting point is even just letting people know what your expectations in the relationship are. And I say that because what I've learned in working with hundreds of fitness and wellness professionals, the problems will always come up around expectation that was not communicated. Mm-hmm. And so even if these documents are, it's never going to go in front of a judge. It's very rarely actually going to be used in the process of a lawsuit. But the point of it is that you're empowered to resolve your own conflicts if they come up by pointing to, an objective, emotionally absent document that said, hey, this is what we said when we started working together we were going to do. One of us is acting out of accordance with this. How can we restore integrity of the relationship, or how can we improve this, or how can we make this work? So I think to answer your question, understand the different relationships you have, and then the goal is to communicate openly and honestly in each of those relationships.
Nice. Okay. And would you say Conscious Counsel, do you guys always need to be in the picture, or do you come in only in certain cases, maybe more in the beginning, only in need?
Yeah, I would say my work is probably divided 50% practicing proactive law. So proactive law means a business is set up or getting set up, and someone wants customized specific documents to protect them for all of their relationships. Proactive law is a lot of fun for me because it's empowering someone to create a relationship that they want to have. And then 50% of my work would be reactive law, which is someone copied an agreement from someone else, or their cousin gave them a document that they started to use because they didn't want to pay legal fees. A problem has come up, and now we need to find a solution to that problem. And reactive law is less fun because you're not in control of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it only needs to happen once to you, where you're out of control of a relationship that needs a resolution for you to realize, like, that's not a position you want to be, because as small business owners, we want to focus our efforts on revenue, on marketing, on growth, on actually providing the services, on having fun. And I think that people don't put enough consideration into, the negative impact of stress, mental attention focused on a problem, fear of getting sued, that it can totally derail your business for months at a time. So my work is 50-50, and obviously I prefer the former.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.